I'm Daniel Rachel. I'm here with Rankin Roger from The Beat to talk about his new book, My Life in the Beat, I Just Can't Stop It. You've written your first book, your life story, I Just Can't Stop It, My Life in the Beat.
Yeah.
What led you at this point in your life to want to write your story?
Well, a wonderful guy who came from Birmingham wrote a brilliant book called The Walls Come Tumbling Down. And he interviewed me and asked me some brilliant questions about Rock Against Racism, and the way he presented them made me want the guy to write a book about me. I wanted him to write my book, and that guy, Daniel, is you. So, I mean, you know, I know you were more surprised like the first time I said it, but you know, I meant it, and it would have taken a long time for that book to happen if it wasn't you, and you wouldn't have got so many answers out of me like you did. You know what I mean? It would have been harder for somebody else to. The way you portrayed the questions were brilliant, you know, and so you know I give you full credit for that, and I think I did the right move. You know, it says basically everything that happened in truth, you know, as far as I can remember it happening, it did happen. And it's given people an insight into, you know, what those days were like, you know. I know we recorded enough to make 3 books, you know, but I mean, I know we only wanted the you know, the beginnings of this, really. If I want to write a general public book, then I'm sure you've got enough for that to go on, you know.
We met on several occasions, and you talked at length, incredibly openly, incredibly honestly, and you've told a story, or revealed a story about you, your life, your upbringing, your life as a musician in the beat, beyond the beat, that I think has rarely been heard, and in a lot of cases you were telling stories that probably nobody's ever heard before, and it's incredibly exciting to see them in the written word. And
Yes.
I think if we were to follow some of the narrative through, I think perhaps some readers may be surprised. First of all, is that you're not Jamaican. You know, obviously you're British, but your heritage is not Jamaican either.
That's right. Yeah.
And so we hear the story of Saint Lucia.
Yes. Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit of what is the Saint Lucian connection in your life?
Well, both my parents were born there, and I went over there when I was about 3.5, 4, and I started school over there and came back when I was 5 or 6, you know what I mean? And it's a much milder island than, say, Jamaica is. I've been to Jamaica 3 times, and I love it and love the food and love the ganja. But I think it's a violent place, you know, and if you go over there as an Englishman, even, or tourists, you know, you have to keep looking around your shoulder. I'm not meaning to demean it in any way, but that's how it feels.
But one thing you told me that I was really surprised about, and it's my ignorance, is the proximity of St. Lucia is nearer South America. Is that?
That's right. It's 1,000 miles away from Jamaica.
1,000 miles, yeah.
Yeah.
But yet, when we first hear the voice of Rankin Roger in the beat, we hear the patois. Do we hear it of St. Lucian patois?
Oh no, you don't
it
hear
of
a St.
Creole,
Lucian patois. No. I mean, obviously, in England and in Birmingham, I mean, there were more, out of all the Caribbean folk here, there were more Jamaicans than any of the other islands. So the kids latched onto the Jamaican culture, and we were hearing all this reggae music coming from Jamaica, you know, direct from Jamaica. So we were picking up the language as well through that way. So, you know, if you're a black person now, you just say warping. You know what I mean? It's just like it's universal. Instead of saying what's happening, or, you know, just using it in any other way. I think the Jamaican culture came through the most in England. Yeah, so that's why you probably heard the first Jamaican toasting as "Tears of a Clown" or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, you hear that as the Jamaican voice. You know?
And you talk about how when you were on stage in the early years, that you were having to sometimes mime so people could understand what the words you were saying were. So I'm thinking, hands off shoes, mine's coming into mind, talking about babies and
yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, and in fact, it was like, I mean, that's a difficult one. Yeah, you had to mime, but make hand signs. Take your hands off my daughter, for instance. Hands off, she's mine. I mean, how could you say that? Because, or how could you describe that? Because at one time, your daughter was your girlfriend, not. You know what I mean? Not your little kid. So it sounded like a 17-year-old, right, which I was then, saying, take your hands off my daughter, which you're thinking, well, how old are you then if you had kids at that? You know what I mean? It's like, well, it wasn't. It was your girlfriend. Your daughter was your girlfriend or your woman, you know. So that's how, you know, we've slanged up with the Jamaican thing. We've slanged up a lot of the English, you know, where, you know, good means well, bad means good, you know, and things like that. And, you know, even sick means really good, you know.
But it comes out of an extraordinary time, your breakthrough in late 79 into 1980. I mean, the only other figures at that time was Neville Staples in the specials, and then coming through was Astro in UB40. And it felt like, if you see the three of you, you were absolute groundbreakers, bringing a kind of a language to British music that didn't exist before you three.
And that was, if you're within the pop hierarchy, if you like, if you could get into the music that was more merged, you would stand a chance. You wouldn't stand a chance with just reggae music. There was loads of reggae stars under the umbrella, you know, Big Youth, Tapazuki, Dillinger, Trinity, Clint Eastwood, you know, enough of them. And I'd heard loads of them before I ever came on the scene, you know, but the fact that I was in a pop band or a popish band it was my prerogative, but it's partly why I became successful.